Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:05, and we are going to begin a public hearing regarding cable franchise renewal for Swatara Township. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Solicitor Coco Razy.
Bear with me for 1 minute while I try to pull this up on my laptop. All right, thank you for the patience. As President Ellis mentioned, we're starting tonight's meeting with a public hearing regarding the Verizon cable franchise renewal. This is being held in accordance with the Federal Cable Act, which establishes a process for franchise agreement renewals. Basically, the township has to enter into an agreement to allow cable providers such as Verizon to offer the service within the municipal boundaries. That contract comes up for renewal every few years. As part of that process, we have to take public comment, any concerns about the service, things like that. This is a normal part of the process. The franchise agreements are common throughout the state for Verizon, for Comcast or Xfinity, for other cable providers. It's just part of the federal requirements to allow those service providers into a community. So the public hearing is just part of the preliminary portion of franchise renewal. The township board is supposed to be reviewing the cable operator's past performance, discussing any future cable related needs, inviting comments from any citizens about either the performance of, in this case, Verizon, future cable needs, things like that. This is an opportunity to consider whether or not you want to allow Verizon to continue offering service in the township. I will say it is possible for you to push back, but it's a bit of a process. There's some hoops to jump through. This is usually a formality just to make sure that the township's needs are being served. With that, I would open it up to public comment. Hearing none, commissioners, if there's anything you would like to discuss or state, now would be the time as well. Otherwise, you can move on.
I actually have something. If there's any community outreach that we have the opportunity to take advantage of, a station that they use or a notification, any advancement that is something that they provide within the boundaries that we may not have taken advantage of because it has basically either started since the last time we did this, or we just weren't aware of it. I'd like to say that we'd be interested in that. I'm sure with another cable operator, they have a public TV station. Anything that they provide, I would like to know about it and see if we have an option to get in on that. As a community service or service, not necessarily a paid option, but anything that they would have there.
Sure, I will just state for the record that the township has engaged other legal counsel through, I believe, the Dauphin County COG or the CapCog. They would be the ones to actually negotiate terms of a new agreement with Verizon. that is certainly something you could discuss as making sure it's included and that you can have those conversations with Verizon.
Yeah, and I'm the CapCog delegate, so that issue will be raised with them. But I'm just saying, some of the municipalities in the CapCog receive some level of service that we're not getting from at least other providers. So I'm saying from this point on, we'll be interested. So I know it's a multi-municipal agreement, but I'm just saying for our meeting and the public, we're interested in anything additional we can get out of it. And
Sure.
I will relay that information to the CapCog.
And now is the time to be having those discussions. The reason you're having the hearing tonight is because that agreement is due for renegotiation and renewal. So those would be appropriate conversations to be had.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, Madam President, you can close the hearing and get on with the rest of the agenda.
All right. This hearing is adjourned at 7:11 p.m. And I'm going to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. It is October 1st, 2025 at 7:11 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Secretary Savage, could you do roll call, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Here.
Commissioner Zubek? Here. Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Vice President Steele?
Here.
President Ellis?
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And this board did have an executive session to discuss personnel prior to the meeting and potential litigation. And we are up to item 6, visitors' requests and comments. If you have comments, please come forward, state your name and address, as well as write them down for record-keeping purposes, and then you may begin.
All right, good evening. I'm Claudia Shank. I'm a partner with McNeese, Wallace, and Nurick. I'm here this evening on behalf of Triple Crown Corporation and PA Business Center, LP. We are here to bring a matter to your attention regarding a determination that was made by your zoning officer on September 4th that's of great concern to us. I did address a letter to the board concerning this issue and asking to be placed on the agenda. It was directed to your solicitor, care of your solicitor, on September 24th, describing this matter, but I will go through it in limited detail with you here this evening so you understand the issue. The property that is the subject of this matter is 1065 High Spire Road. It's in the CG General Commercial Zoning District. My clients have constructed a 78,000 square foot flex building on the property. The building was subject to numerous approvals by this township, and those start really with a determination that was made by your prior zoning officer, Robert Illine, in February of 2022, who described the project as a commercial flex space with associated parking and improvements, and specifically stated in a memorandum at that point in time that the proposed use of the property was flex space, which was a permitted use in this district, combination of office, storage, and distribution. Mr. Illine was well within his right to make that determination as the zoning officer. The ordinance allows him to determine that a proposed use is so similar in character to other uses permitted in a district that it is itself permitted by right. In this case, your ordinance doesn't define flex space, but it is very similar to other uses that are permitted in the CG district. So in reliance on that determination, we proceeded through land development. The board granted land development plan approval in April 2023. We recorded a plan in October of 2023. The plan depicted a building, the building that you see now, if you drive by the location, that clearly contained a distribution component. It's a single-story structure with 24 feet of clear height and 26 external dock doors. We constructed the building. Throughout this process, various permits were issued by the township: building permits, zoning permits, stormwater permits, etc. We've now identified 2 tenants that we would like to have occupy portions of the building. Both are existing township businesses: ProFast Inc., who's represented here tonight by Brad Mullins, and AIT World Logistics, represented by Ryan Lehman. They're ready to move into this building. We did submit an application, a zoning and building permit application. Specifically, I'll discuss the one for ProFast. That was to fit out 23,500 square feet of space in the building for their use. They're a seller of roofing supplies, other building supplies to contractors, and the proposed use included office, training center, conference rooms, retail sale, and storage space as well. On September 4th, your zoning officer, Mr. Gilden, issued a letter denying that permit application and finding that the primary use of the building was distribution with accessory office, storage, or warehouse uses. Finding that distribution was not permitted in the CG district, he did not issue the permit or allow the project to move forward. We believe there are a number of flaws in this analysis. First, again, a focus on distinguishing between principal and accessory uses in the manner that this building is used. Flex space itself, which is what your prior zoning officer determined that this is and is permitted to be, by definition is flexible, allows for a combination of office, warehouse, retail uses, in fact, expressly contemplates the fact that a business's needs in respect to allocating those uses may change over time. We also believe that we have a vested right to tenant the building. We've relied on numerous approvals that were granted by the township in constructing the building, including the approved and recorded land development plan and various permits that were issued. These permits that we've relied upon do create a vested right for us under Pennsylvania law to proceed with the project. And needless to say, we've incurred substantial costs in reliance on those determinations. We have appealed the zoning officer's determination. That's scheduled for a hearing on October 29th. However, frankly, we don't have the luxury of the time it would take to go through a zoning hearing and any possible appeal period. As you know, that can be a time-consuming process, and we're at risk of losing our tenants now if we are not able to move forward. So our request of this board is to direct Mr. Gilden to rescind his determination and issue the permits for ProFast and AIT, any other flex space uses we would identify for that building. I do want to give Mr. Mullins and Mr. Lehman a brief opportunity to address the board and describe to them the impacts that this issue and decision is having on their businesses. Go ahead, Brad.
Hello, my name is Brad Mullins. I am the majority owner of ProFast, and excuse me, this is my first time being involved in a situation like this, so I thought I would share first where we currently sit as a company in regards to this whole process, and then you're free to obviously ask questions away of who we are, what we do, and all that. But we relocated from the West Shore in 2015 under a 7-year lease. Currently on Derry Street, we are down towards the corner of Derry and Nye, which I do believe is a different zoning area, but we're on the last building on Derry and Nye Street. So we entered that agreement in 2015. 2020, our business, we really started doing good, started to grow. We had to lease another facility on Grayson Road, still within the township, directly behind our current facility, right over the train tracks there, behind the, basically right next to Walmart. And then in 2023, we started looking at this property we're speaking of tonight, and I believe, I'm not truly clear of the background, but there was a gas pipeline issue and the building got put on pause and everything. So we were forced to sign a 3-year right of renewal with our current landlord. We also worked heavily with the Grayson landlord to make those leases terminate at the same time, which is February of 2026, February 28th, 2026 of next year. So with that being said, Our right to renew period was in September with our current landlord, so we have not addressed our current landlord, which is a different landlord than Triple Crown currently. So right now we're kind of in a gray holding period. We've invested a lot of money just in planning, timing, starting to purchase some assets, thinking this would go through. So our leases end in February 28th of 2026 next year. So we've passed our September right to renew window. Nothing's been done yet in terms of that. So in direct correlation to this High Spire Road property, we had signed a lease April 17th of 2025. And the lease consists of 180 days of the ladder of the lease signing or the planning approval. And so with rough math, we submitted on August 8th. As Claudia just alluded to, September 4th, a decision was made of denial. If you take that 180 days and you push that out, that puts us around March 4th. So if you take, for argument's sake again, let's just say you say yes to us, October 5th for round math, October 15th for round math, that puts us all the way through April 15th. So we're already several months past our current landlord's right of, I forget the legal term, but we can stay. There's like a 150% liquidation charge for up to 3 months of staying and stuff like that. So as a second generation small family owned business, we're just in that gray area where no one's in breach of anything yet. So we're just stuck on pause till this all plays out. We've been in Swatara Township for 10 years now. I think, when we showed up here, we were doing $2 million of revenue. We're up to $13 million a year in revenue. If you take, so I think over the course of the last 8 years, we contributed maybe $80,000 in tax payments to the township. We've had historical growth of anywhere from 18 to 33% year over year as a growing company. I did the math. We have a 10-year lease. If we just, for argument's sake, call it even and say 6% year over year growth at our current 11 million, without adding our 20 and 30% growth, just call it inflation, cost of living increases, it's upwards of 200,000 on the light side over the next 10 years of revenue for the township. So we are here to just say we've been here, loyal tenants of the township for 10 years, and what do you need to know about us and what we do that would cause you to deny this permit? And what questions you have about who we are and what we do, we're here to happy to answer.
Well, I'm not sure if there's anyone else coming up, but I do want to let you know that prior to the meeting tonight, I did request that Mr. Golden provide me with all of the historical details leading up to this decision. I believe it was approved in 2022, as she stated. So I'm looking forward to reviewing all of that information, and I certainly am aware of the importance of economic development in our township. So thank you.
Thank you.
There are no questions for Mr. Mullins. I'll have Mr. Lehman come up with today and address the board.
Hi guys, thanks for your time. My name is Ryan Lehman. I'm with AIT Worldwide Logistics. We've been in operation since 1987. We've been in the township for 25 years. We're currently down off Quarry Road, across from Dolphin Highlands. The situation we're in right now, I'm about 2.5 years into this planning process to get this new building. I can tell you, there's nothing out there that's going to suit our needs, especially in the township. This is it. We've looked outside of the township previously. We don't want to go there. There's not even options even across the river that suit our needs as far as the number of dock doors, the amount of office space, and the amount of warehouse space. We have 20 employees, 16 of us are office workers. We've got 2 full-time warehouse guys and 2 part-time warehouse guys. So if that gives you an idea of how we operate. We generate approximately $43 million in revenue per year. We've been growing. I've lived in Swatara Township I lived here for 2 or 3 years. I don't currently live here, but again, working here for 20 some years. You know, it's kind of like home. But if we can't get this building, I mean, right now we're basically operating out of 2 different suites. So we're in one building, we ran out of space. We started leasing another suite in the same building, but you know, my guys are going out in the forklifts out in the parking lot trying to go back and forth. Summertime, it's not that bad. Wintertime, it's a little bit dangerous going down ramps, coming up ramps. It's fragmented operations. You know, but we'd like to continue to grow. If we can't get this new building, I know what's going to happen. We're going to stop growing. They're probably going to start taking business from our station. They're going to start putting in other stations, Philadelphia, Baltimore. You know, we've got 50 some locations across the U.S. and they'll start pulling it from this location. You know, of that $43 million per year, I can actually say that about 40% of it doesn't even come through our facility, doesn't even come through the state. So we're generating revenue and tax revenue without even bringing stuff through here. It's a good business. You know, one of our customers, some of our customers are Hershey Company. We've got a lot of local customers, Dell Computer. One of our upcoming customers, we've already staffed up in preparation for this building. So in reality, if we don't get it, we're probably going to have to let people go. We've got customers already in the pipeline, one of which is a company called Highland Fleet or EV Bus. What they do is they provide electrification for all the school district buses. They want to come and they want to use our warehouse to store their products and all the equipment they need to send out to all the school districts through Pennsylvania and electrify their buses. So it's a frustrating situation. I'd hate to start the process over again 2.5 years into it, but that's how long it took to find what's right for us. So I'll leave it up to you guys if you have any questions.
I just want to, Commissioner Zubek is the person, when we had our discussion that basically said that we need to get more information.
Mm-hmm.
And to put this in perspective, that was 22 minutes ago. So, I mean, you know, we're looking at information. That's all I can really say. So, and I'm sure your council knows when you come before a board, we have things that are on the agenda, and this wasn't one of them. We have a process and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we have to look at, and we're starting that before I knew you were here. So, you know, there is a process, and I think it'll play out. I don't think any of us can really answer anything right now, but that's not to say that you know, you've represented your companies well, and you know, you've given us things to think about.
Well, I just do want to be clear. We did ask this to be placed on the agenda. I don't know why it wasn't.
I'm the one that creates the agenda, so I'm the one that didn't place it on the agenda.
So I guess my question then would be, what can we expect in terms of follow-up? Could it be on the agenda for next week after we've had a time to review it? What's reasonable for us to expect?
That's, if you want to correspond that with the solicitor, you can do that, but you know, it's not on the agenda this evening, and we have to proceed through this meeting.
I could just answer that at least a little bit here tonight. We did receive the request to add it to the agenda, but my advice to the township was to hear what you had to say first. We can all talk about it. We unfortunately did not have time to convene an executive session to review this matter fully before tonight's meeting, but they do meet again next Wednesday. So I would expect the board to have more of an opportunity to review all of the information, and then they can decide if they want to do something with this or not at next week's meeting. If not, then it would proceed to the ZHB, obviously, but there is time still to get it on to next week's agenda if the president deems it appropriate.
Yeah, that would be our request then. We appreciate you taking the time to hear our concerns. We're happy to provide any additional information. If your solicitor has any questions for us, we'll happily answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. All right, do we have any further visitors' requests and comments at this time?
I don't know if I'm following that up, but I'm taking a little cheat here. Randy Conway, 5580 Fulcroft Avenue. I wanted to clarify a couple of things. Who's Randy? Randy is a dedicated first responder, has been committed and advocate for improving fire service. From his background in firefighting and EMS, he has consistently engaged with the community in efforts to assess the viability of volunteer-based fire service. At a youthful age, he was exposed to police events, which also drew him into the public safety field. He attended HAC for the fire science technology curriculum. He is considered a trusted leader as well as a maven in operational logistics planning in his career. His personal values, integrity, self-awareness, dedication, respect, resilience, and compassion guide everything he does. Yes, as most are aware, I have been posting polls and thoughts on Facebook about our fire service and community engagement over the past few months. The topic matters deeply and is a hot topic, no pun intended. Was this a post sparked for debate? Very much so. Was it long-winded, as I was told? Maybe, but there was a lot of information to convey. Was it directed attack, as many attempted to say, on current volunteers? Not. Whether directly or indirectly, that was never the intent of what was conveyed. It goes against everything I stand for. I commend all those who truly volunteer as well as those who receive stipends or compensations for efforts. Where my values and beliefs differ is whether volunteerism is dying or dead. I mentioned a few months ago to the chief that there was a completely 100% volunteer department that was doing better than most, and I suggested it be examined. After nothing had been done with it, I visited myself to learn more. While they face challenges like any department, their strong volunteer base is impressive, keeping in mind that they are not receiving any kind of stipend or compensation. Straight volunteers. They have been going against the trend, including those downsizing. They are in the process of adding yet another piece of equipment to their inventory, thanks to the volunteer base. I hope sharing their story might inspire ideas for Swatara Fire and Rescue. Upon arrival, we were blown away by this station's appearance. We walked up, checked it out, and were greeted with open arms and a warm welcome. I took videos and pictures of everything, including the 60 set of bunk gear in the bunk room, which is what prompted me to consider a poll to gauge our fire department's engagement. I typed up what I thought would give us a good pulse and tried to make it so there was no way to misconstrue or twist it. After posting it, I wanted to make a minor change, but someone had already voted, which took away the editing function. So I allowed it to run the gauntlet to see what came back. I was questioned, what is your line of thinking with the survey? The answer was twofold. Feedback from everyone, including current firefighters, as well as the main effort was to increase public involvement, interest, and feedback. That was followed up by attending the latest fire board meeting on Tuesday. While I didn't have anything to say or add during the meeting, I did have a conversation with the chief as well as several firefighters afterwards. Was a little heated initially. There was a bit of tension, as there always is when a case of questioning leadership, but mutual respect prevailed among all, unfortunately with one notable exception. Commissioner and Assistant Chief Shane Still, who felt the need to interject himself into the conversation and confront me in front of the fire chief, members of the fire board, as well as the firefighter, and whoever else was still present, with repeated personal name-calling and insults. You are nothing more than a coward, a keyboard warrior. He continued to repeat this to close to a dozen times or more. I lost count. My only reply was, I am not a coward. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I thanked him when he stormed out of the room, only to turn around, walk back in, and start a few more times. This does beg the question, is this what Swatara Fire Rescue stands for? Or is this how a commissioner should act or treat in the public? Let's break it down. What is a coward? A coward, by definition, is a person who lacks the courage to do or endure dangerous or unpleasant things. What is a bully? A bully is repeated, unwanted, aggressive behavior by a person or group with a real or perceived power imbalance aimed at harming, intimidation, or distress to another person. It can manifest as physical actions, hitting, kicking, verbal abuse, name-calling, threats, or social manipulation, rumors, exclusion. Bullying differs from conflict or simple disagreement because of the persistent power imbalance and the intent to dominate and cause harm. Verbal bullying includes name-calling, teasing, taunting, making threats, or insulting someone. Remember, when you are pointing at someone, there's one finger pointed at them, 3 are pointing at you. At no time have I done any bullying, name-calling, or disrespect. Let's be clear, I'm not a coward. I am certainly not a bully. I stand by my key values and my commitment to our community. I welcome constructive conversations and remain committed to finding ways to enhance our fire service for everyone. I have had numerous discussions with the chief, and despite our differences, I remain calm and respectful. I would not be surprised if there's a video of this interaction that I mentioned. There is only one person who is not more than anything than a bully, and I'm bringing it up for public record so the residents can learn the person they voted into power, as well as a line officer in our fire service. Thank you for your time. Respectively, Randy Conway, a.k.a. the Cowardly Lion. And I have 5 copies.
Madam President,
Yes.
if I could just make a quick comment.
Sure.
I just want to thank Mr. Conway for his interest in the fire service and public safety. He does have a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience, and I appreciate his energy and courage to go out and look at other fire companies, volunteer services that are doing things differently, doing things right. And I appreciate when someone has the courage to challenge and ask questions, because that always makes us better. No matter what leadership position you're in, questioning is healthy for the process. And I think anybody should be more than happy and willing to answer the tough questions, because that's why we signed up for this. So I do want to say thank you to Mr. Conway for your comments this evening. And I'm certainly sad to hear that you've had such an unpleasant experience, and I hope you'll continue to be engaged in the process. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening for a public comment?
Good evening. I didn't know if I was going to speak tonight or not. Justin Braddock, 37th Street. I think they left, the business owners, but I don't know them. I really don't know what they do, but hearing briefly what they do, I really hope you guys work with them. We've been over backwards for other businesses, or for the 83 project, GW signs, we got them relocated. The guy said $200,000 over 10 years. That's a lot of money. That's probably what, 2, 3, 4 firefighters, a couple police cars maybe. It's a lot of money. And the other company, $43 million worth of, that's a lot. I don't see the issue where it's at. They've gotten the permits. I know I don't have all the information, but we literally have a Turkey Hill in Oberlin that sells cigarettes, vapes, and all kinds of stuff 3 blocks from a school. And now there's an issue of selling roofing supplies across the street from a sausage shop. I don't get it. I mean, the building's built. It's there. Just let them do it. That's all I got to say about that. The other issue I have is on Dairy Street, the pipe project. I don't know what kind of pipe it was, but I know it's state, so it's not really a township issue, but hopefully they can get that fixed before winter. I know the asphalt plant's closed down, and there's not even a bump sign. And I'll tell you what, every morning at Oakley and Dairy Street, I feel like my front end's going to come out the car.
I agree.
And even tonight on my way over, I have a dash camera. You slow down to get over to the right to try. Somebody passed me. Like every morning, about 3 times a week, somebody passes me on that road because you got to hug the shoulder. Or until they can get that. I think I talked to Ms. Ellis the other week about it. Since you have to hug that shoulder, if we could street sweep that, because there's a lot of debris. And I did pull a nail out of my tire. I'm assuming that's probably where I picked it up at. I mean, just until they get whatever the state's going to do. We all know the state drags their feet, so.
For the record, Madam President, I would just like to say, I actually agree with him on this Dairy Street thing. It would be great if we could ensure that even the patch job is a little better when construction projects are being undertaken, because that really has the ability to cut your tires and all kinds of things. And I'm actually one of those people that that try to straddle it, and sometimes I move over. I do whatever I can. So.
I mean, that one's bad because it's kind of, where do you go? I mean, you're in the other lane if you want to go left, or you're hugging the curb with all the debris on the right. And, they did it right. I mean, it's settled, but now it's settled too far, and all those caps there at Oakley and Dairy Street's by far the worst. So. Or at least put a bump sign up.
On that subject, residents that live there had talked about this about 2 months ago. I reached out to Mr. Trafka, and the concern was that it was going to settle, and also the way people are straddling it, there's no sidewalk, and everyone is moving over. So we had talked about either trying to bring it up to the level, and then maybe a white line.
Yeah.
Because everyone now, if you're heading towards St. Catherine's out of Paxton direction, is almost on the curb where people are walking, and then there's a for sale sign and the telephone, so people can't even really get out of the way. So the same thing you're saying before it settled. I mean, it was rough then, but it was like smooth and rough, and now it's getting pounded in different spots. So
I know many people spoke about the 50th and Derry, how rough that got, and I think this is 1,000 times worse there. So.
And they were still working on it at the time.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure what was going to
It's
happen.
been pretty idle, so as soon as I was like, man, but I know them asphalt plants close over the winter. It's like, please do something before they
and
close.
my concern is ice and snow.
Yeah.
And trying to plow it. And,
Oh,
and ripping
damaging
it
the
up.
plows and everything else.
Yeah.
So.
So is there another call out to the state to get it fixed? Or?
Not all.
There you go. You got it.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Bradnick. I'll give you an update. I've been on the phone with the contractor numerous occasions. I have brought the Oakley Avenue, Derry Street valve box cluster up to him as well. Superintendent Stauffer and I also spoke about this numerous times. So the latest update that I have is they are going to try to get that project completed and paved by the end of October, right? Because PennDOT has their own specific guidelines. You are correct, that is 100% a state road, and the contractor is working for Veolia Water. But again, you know, anytime anyone brings a complaint to me, I can tell you I reach out to them immediately, even though I don't have jurisdiction or an overview, and they are very quick to react. But generally PennDOT makes them wait 30 days for the ditch or the road to settle before they're actually allowed to final pave. But in this case, he told me, he said, don't hold me to it, but they're going to repave the entire shoulder or curb to curb of Derry Street as part of that project. So just wanted to give you an update, and I can appreciate, I get lots of phone calls. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other visitors or questions and comments at this time? All right. We are up to item 7 then, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. For item B, Director Golden, would you be able to give just a brief explanation to the public for?
Yes, so the county has hired HRG to perform the local bridge inspection. What they do is the county pays 100% for this. They go around and inspect the bridges within all jurisdictions within Dauphin County. We have 4 bridges that they are going to inspect, and they just needed your approval in order to enter into the other municipality contract to join in.
Thank you.
In a nutshell.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or discussion at this time?
I do, Madam President. Madam President, on item C, I have concerns that we're so close to the budget and we're providing increases to staff. I also have concerns that just a month ago, I looked at the treasurer's report, or was it 2 months ago, and it was the general fund was down to $72,000. Given that fact, I don't know why we keep adding additional costs prior to a new budget year. It's very concerning to me. And also, I think in this particular case, considering the fact that just a few months ago, there was a $10,000 increase and now another $5,000 increase for the same position, it's really, I think, outside of the norm for a township to continue to do this. I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't do this as part of a budget. And so any increases that happen now, just for the public's information, another 2 months from now when we adopt a budget, there very well could be another cost of living adjustment included in that budget. So it really seems, and it's for an assistant right-to-know position, not a full-blown right-to-know officer position. And I believe the person that held that prior, I thought it was like 3,000, but irrespective, I have concerns just sheer on the timing. It's nothing personal, but I do want to make sure that we're watching our dollars as we end the year, considering a lot of the tax revenue and other things don't come in till February or March. So for that reason, I am a no on item C, but I will, accept the rest of the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to comment on that as the chair of Mr. Golden's committee. Unfortunately, we do not have a right-to-know officer. It's an important position. It's a required function that we have. When Mr. Golden was hired in codes, zoning, and planning, there was specific questions as to what he would be able to do. And members of this board asked him if he took on additional duties and training, would he be willing to perform those things for additional compensation? This is a minimal amount of compensation compared to hiring a person. He already works here, and we need someone in the position. So this salary change is relatively minimal, and I agree with the second half of everything Commissioner Zubik said, that budgets are tight and you don't want to give raises. But my position is you don't want to hire somebody right now when for a increase to an employee that's taking on an additional required responsibility, you could pay that person. You're not adding any medical benefits or anything like that. And this is something that Mr. Golden had done in the past for other municipal entities, and it wasn't part of his job description or duties here. He's willing to do this. He didn't want to do it. He has a lot of other things that are going on. So, maybe that wasn't explained to everybody clearly. And the reason it's on the consent agenda is because normally we're not hiring anybody new. It's minimal. It doesn't rise to any threshold of spending. That if we were buying something at that price, we wouldn't have to really disclose it. But I think it's the fair thing to do that protects all of us. The last thing we want to do is say we don't have anybody. And I will just put this out there. I was going to save it for the end. We're all feeling a little bit of sorrow that we lost a member of our staff who was an incredible person and did lots of things. Unfortunately, this was one of the things that the person performed. So it's kind of we needed an assistant anyway. Now we don't have that person and we don't have an assistant. This will transition to somebody else. There's not that many months left in the year. I mean, prorated, it's not really that high of a dollar amount. Generally, we don't discuss people's salaries in public. I respect that, a commissioner wants to save money, but
I
in this case...
I didn't disclose the salary, Commissioner Connolly.
Pardon me?
For point of clarification, I did not disclose any salary.
No, I said I wasn't going to. I didn't say you did.
Yeah.
And I heard everything you said. I just said I'm not putting it out now.
Right.
But that's so we have a difference of opinion, obviously, and we'll vote accordingly. But I think overall it's a good economic move that saves money, keeps us compliant, and is absolutely needed. And we have a good person that can fill the role for now.
Madam President, just one more point. Just to clear the record, on number 11 is a consideration of appointment of Julia Yingling as right-to-know officer. So she would be undertaking the full-time duty of right-to-know officer. And in this particular case, Mr. Golden would be the assistant. And just to put some historical background there, the prior right to know officer, and I'm very, very sorry to her family for the loss, and I was going to mention it in my comments, she only received, I believe, between $3,000 and $5,000 to be the actual right to know officer. So we're talking about the assistant to the right to know officer. I certainly understand what comes along with the duty, but I don't think that this rises to the level of we have to give this increase at this time. We can wait till the budget is passed, as we often do, and there's no reason why we're doing this right now. So I appreciate the, difference of opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody sees things a little differently. I look at something versus a necessity or a want, and this position. And just to clarify another point that was made, the questions I asked during the interview process had nothing to do with, if you get additional training, will you be getting additional compensation? No, that was not the question. I asked if the person that was assuming that position at the price point that we were bringing them in was going to go through and get the certifications. We had required that in the past for our zoning officers. Mr. Eline, it was my understanding from some previous members that sat on this board that he was hired with the understanding that he would get the certifications, and he did not do so. And I asked the question in the interview if Mr. Golden would be getting certifications, and was told yes, and I have yet to see that take place. So I really think that, and the whole understanding was that we would bring someone in, we would save some money in third-party costs, it was going to be a better bang for our buck for the township. So I really just want to make these points clear. I'm not for graying the lines or, making things fuzzy. I'm pretty clear in my memory of what transpired. And I know that there are people sitting up here that were in that interview process as well that remember my line of questioning. And so I just want to say, for the record, again, it's nothing personal. For me, it's a matter of our township finances, and I see costs continuing to increase, spending continuing to increase, and I'm looking at our general fund as of maybe a couple of months ago, and it was showing $72,000. Our entire payroll is significantly higher than that. So that gives me cause for concern. Certainly understand your points, but I'm looking at the numbers, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add that number 11 that you referred to is also an existing employee who is going to get additional duties and get paid for the additional duties after she's trained by Zach Golden.
She also didn't get a $10,000 pay raise 4 months after being hired. So I think that there's a little bit of unfairness here, and I think it's bad for the morale of our township employees when certain people are getting increases, and significant ones, and other ones maybe have to claw their way into something or don't get one at all. So I'm not sure how the increases are being given out. I know that there's been some increases given out in the past we didn't even know about. But I will say this, it's not something that can't wait for the budget so we can see where we are financially. You can't just go around making unilateral decisions without considering the budget. And I would like to know how this decision came about. Whose decision was it to do this tonight and provide these increases? Who made this decision? There
was
no
questions
process.
to the solicitor. The process was we lost our right to know officer, and we're required to have one. So
But
we
you
looked around at
appointed him
staff
before the
rather
right
than
to know.
posting a job for someone else to come in and spend the high amount of money. We said, can we cover it at least in the short term, and comply with the law and do the things we have to do by giving additional duties to existing staff. Those are the two existing staff. He has the experience, but he's a very busy person. So he's going to be the assistant. He's going to train the other person who's listed here, and then we will be in compliance. And by doing that, we haven't hired anybody, and we haven't added any, fringe benefit costs. I understand what you're saying. Like, by not giving those two people a raise at this point in time, I don't know what the other answer is, to not have anybody or to start a hiring process and hire.
But you did the appointment of the assistant right to know officer, Mr. Gordon, last month. There was no compensation attached to that. So now you're adding it again to tonight's agenda with an increase. And again, I'm so sorry for our loss, because it's my loss too, because I truly loved and appreciated our right to know officer who passed on. That decision was made in her absence prior to her passing. And, I think we're all suffering a loss here. I don't want to mix the fact that we're talking about subsequent finding. I'm separating the two. I know you like to mix the two, but I'm separating the two issues where are we taking the right process financially right now at this time for the township? And you're not even looking at the general fund. You don't seem to look at the numbers. You're making decisions based on wants, not needs.
Okay. Mathematically, I don't know where you got your numbers on any of this.
Okay.
The amount that we're paying to do a required service is less than what we would have paid had somebody been in that job. And I want to be fair here.
You can look at the treasurer's report.
The person that isn't doing it had a ongoing issue and they weren't here and they weren't able to do it. We had an emergency situation, so we made Zach the alternate for that little period of time, and now he needs to continue to do it, and you don't want to compensate him for that.
We're 2 months away from a budget. I mean, surely somebody can wait a couple months. I mean, as an assistant, we're appointing a full-time, and by the way, I got my numbers from the treasurer's report that we all get to see every month. So for you to question where I'm getting my numbers, feel free to review the treasurer's report. It's hanging in the lobby after every meeting.
The only other thing that I'll add is the additional increase that you referred to, Commissioner Zubek, was again for additional duties. Director Golden is performing inspection duties that previously, when we had Mr. Eline, he didn't go out and do those things. And if you'll remember, we had 2 codes inspectors at that point. We only have 1 and Mr. Golden. So that's where those the additional compensation came from, because he's essentially saving us an additional job. So now this is assisting with taking on roles from 2 different jobs.
Well, the prerequisite of the certifications that were tied to the hiring have not been fulfilled.
Well, again, Mr. Eline did not perform those duties and was compensated the way that he was compensated.
And actually he made significantly less. Mr. Eline was around 80,000, 75, 80. So I'm not going to name salaries here. I'm not going there. Anybody wants to see it, they can review the budget after it's passed. But I will say that Mr. Eline was also required to get the certifications and did not. And I think this board, when we hire people and we say this is what we expect, I think this board should have its expectations fulfilled before we go around giving raises like candy.
And with regard to the interview, I do remember your question, but I also remember Mr. Golden's response, and it was, if you were willing to compensate me, I absolutely would.
Absolutely not. The response is, I'm willing to do any training. That was the response. And we can go back and forth.
I have a different recollection of what took place.
Sometimes everybody has a different recollection.
Yeah.
But that is not the truth.
Yeah, I'd just like to know who came up with the dollar amounts for the 2 different positions for Julia and Zach. for right to know?
I'll share that I had input for Julia's,
Okay.
but I didn't.
Okay. Do you, and it's public information what people are making, not that I'm trying to bring that all out, but I think we have to keep in mind what was originally being paid for these certain tasks that were put out there. And I know the dollar amount was exactly what Commissioner Zubek stated earlier. It was $3,000. And now we're planning on spending $15,000 to do the same job. So, go ahead.
I would like to add that I just recently became aware, after asking for some information, that we now provide a vehicle for our codes officer who lives 50 miles away, approximately 50 miles away. Our codes officer never had a vehicle before. They're not on call. It's not a public safety position or a public works position where you would be on call. And so I think that I'm not inherently saying it's a bad thing, but I think that we more than satisfy our compensation for that position to take on additional duties. And so I do want to point that out, that it was very surprising to me, because I didn't know that until I asked for the information and was given it, that there's now a vehicle for that position. Well, thank you.
Do we have anything else?
I have a comment, I think we can come to a consensus as a whole board.
Now I'm on, huh?
Muted you.
I think we can all meet where we need to meet. And I said this last meeting when some of the commissioners had asked about Mr. Golden and having a right to know officer, and there was discussions with the township manager and other commissioners, and God rest her soul, MJ. I mean, she was one hell of a right to know officer. I mean, when you talk about someone that digged into the details and flying night and pressuring you for information, and you better get it to her on time, and still going after it. So, God rest that woman's soul, because she was an outstanding right to know officer. And I'm sure we'll have great comments at Commissioner's time about her. And I said last meeting about Mr. Golden, and we needed a right to know officer. We just have to have a right to know officer. And I think where we can meet in the middle here is, I've always been one that if you take on additional duties, as we right-size the government here from the beginning of last year, that the compensation should match the duties that you take on. So I think if Commissioner Conley, if I'm hearing him right, is, Zach is the lead on this. Julia will be trained by Zach and obviously the state and get up to speed, and then maybe Zach might fall off. So I think somewhere in the meeting in the middle of everyone at the budget times and throughout the year, we can evaluate what those additional duties were and the salaries, and come to a consensus of what that looks like and what that person's compensation should be. I agree with Commissioner Conley and Commissioner Zubek both as far as the budgetary items that it should be discussed at budget time. And I think this year, so we're all clear, and I don't think we've ever broken it out that way. I think we need to break out the right to know officer with its own additional GL, and then that will be an additional compensation line item that if that person is removed from that position, then that won't be added to their salary. Because if I'm hearing Commissioner Zubek properly, that's her concern. But if I'm hearing Commissioner Conley properly, that's what he looks to do and intends to do. So I think that's a great meet in the middle. I think there was enough discussion around internally between the township manager, the president of the board, the personnel committee, the committee chair for zoning, the HR, of what we needed to do in a quick, fast hurry, because we had pending right to knows that needed to get done. I appreciate you for stepping up. And I have the same concerns, and I discussed this meeting after meeting after meeting for the last 2 years. You have to be mindful of where we are at in revenue versus expenses. Can we stay within an $18 million budget, which is essentially almost $50,000 a day it takes this local government to operate? that's important. Once we go outside the budget, then this board has to take into consideration that they are then dipping into their savings, or they have to make cuts in other areas of the budget. Are we on target in certain areas? We are. Are we off target in certain areas? We are. So we just have to be mindful of that. And I think let's work this out during budget time. But I will say this, we do need a right to know officer. And that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to assume there's no further discussion. Secretary Savage, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Yes to A, B, and D, no to C.
Commissioner Zubek?
Yes, A, B, and D, no to C.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Vice President Steele?
Yes.
President Ellis?
Yes. All right, we are up to item 9, consideration of minutes.
Motion A and B.
Second, A and B.
We have a motion and a second. The minutes were provided ahead of time for the board to review. Do we have any discussion at this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're up to item 10, building and codes plans. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Director Golden.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. The first item A is the reduction of financial security for Chambers Point Phase 2. This is an overall development plan. They're still not quite ready. We're going to remain $28,316 to finalize various items.
Motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Do we have any questions or discussion?
What items do we still have remaining? I think I had heard some from some of the community members there. I think there was, and I don't know if it's part of it, but there was a gate issue there. Manager Traffic, I don't know if you can touch on that. Are we done? We have any paving remaining? Any stormwater things that need to be completed? And I'll add an addendum to that motion that they meet all satisfactory requirements. If Commissioner Zubek, I think you made the motion, will agree with that.
Yes, Commissioner Steele, there is $15,340 left.
That wasn't me.
Okay. For a temporary cul-de-sac full section. So I'm assuming they're removing the temporary cul-de-sac and they haven't done so yet?
No, I think they're leaving that because that's the one. Is that the one? So you come down Gaynor, Kevin?
I believe it is.
Oh, so
yes.
they're still waiting on paving that.
Yeah, there was something prior with, that was actually part of phase 1. And I think that's still, because I think eventually, who knows when, if there is a quote phase 3,
sure,
then that would be finished paved as part of 3 if that ever comes to fruition.
And then there would be another security deposit once we get into phase 3, right?
Correct.
Deposit for 1, 2, and 3.
That's correct. Yep.
I was going to just say, I don't know that there's a need for an amendment because the way that Mr. Golden posed the question was specifically stating that there were still additional items that need to be fulfilled, which means there's still money left.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
I understand that.
So also under stormwater management, there's $7,488 for a 4-foot post with wire mesh, basin enclosure, fence, and gate. Also $150 for erosion and sediment controls for erosion control matting on slopes, and that equals the remaining amounts. So we're really close.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Do we have any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Taking up the space. All right, we are up to item 10B, consideration advertisement of proposed ordinance that would amend and repeal various articles under Chapter 128 Code Enforcement.
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. So the main purpose of this ordinance is to get rid of the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code and replace it with the 2024 version. They update every 3 years. However, while we were reviewing the ordinance, the chapter for the code enforcement, we found various sections that are no longer relevant in today's UCC world, Uniform Construction Code. So I did provide the board a red line version, which I can go down through line by line and kind of explain why we did what we did, if you like. you guys have the red line version by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with section 2. This is going to repeal section 128.5 and 128.6 of the code in their entirety and mark them each repealed and section as reserved. So section 128.5 is no longer applicable. The Uniform Construction Code dictates which projects need permits. So it's a redundancy, and the Uniform Construction Code guides us anyway, since we have that adopted. Section 128-6, this will be repealed in its entirety. This was conditions of permit. Again, the Uniform Construction Code dictates what conditions can be set on permits. These are all related to building permits. Section 3, section 128.14a is hereby amended. So the Code Hearing Board is created, variances and appeals. So we had a code board that was set forth here for the IPMC. However, it's irrelevant because the IPMC 24 and the 21 version as well has a specific section that creates a Board of Appeals. So we're just going to utilize that Board of Appeals. I will come back at a later date if this ordinance is adopted and request 3 members for that board, just in case someone ever appeals an International Property Maintenance Code violation from Omar or myself. So it just cleans up that the powers of the board, etc. It's all stated in the IPMC in Appendix B. Section 4, Chapter 128 is amended by repealing Articles 2 through 7 and Sections 128.15 through 128.50 and in their entirety. So Article 2 was the building code. This was adopted by the township before the Uniform Construction Code was adopted. The Uniform Construction Code was adopted in Article 8 of your code, so they conflict with one another. So there's no need for that anymore. Article 4, 1 and 2 family dwelling code. This was the building codes for 1 and 2 family dwellings. That's dictated by the Uniform Construction Code. Again, irrelevant now. So we repealed that. Article 5 and Article 6 and Article 7, same exact thing. Electric code, plumbing code, existing structure code is no longer needed. It conflicts with the Uniform Construction Code. And we're going to keep Article 8, which is the Uniform Construction Code of when the township adopted that. For those who do not know what the Uniform Construction Code is, it guides and dictates what we do when we review building permits. Section 5, this is 128.60, entitled Adoption of Code shall be amended. This is where I talked about in the beginning, changing from the 2021 version to the 2024 version of the IPMC. Section 6, 128.61, revisions. Since there's a new version of the IPMC, they have different sections of codes, so we just updated those as relevant. And that's the meat and potatoes of this. Just cleaning things up.
I do have a question with regard to the reserved, because I did notice that it said that at least one of the sections has previously been reserved.
Yes.
What does that mean? That if at any point we needed to go back to it, we have that opportunity to do so? And then if we did need to do that, would this have to still be advertised all over again?
That's correct.
Is that how that works? Okay.
That's exactly correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Madam President, if I may.
Yep.
I have some similar, looking at Section 3, the Code Hearing Board. Same thing, essentially. It remains, it looks like, but the layout of that board and quorum and everything else goes away. So what will establish that board? Will we come back with a separate ordinance establishing that board, or?
No, so it's completely dictated in the IPMC book. So it says the quorum, the membership, what their duties are, what their requirements are. So instead of having it, go ahead, Steve.
I thought it might be helpful to just briefly back up. The IPMC, International Property Maintenance Code that Zach is referencing, is a book that municipalities could simply adopt in its entirety.
Right.
What most do is adopt it with certain revisions. So this provision is something that differs from the text that's in the book. What Zach is suggesting is that you just adhere to what's in the book instead. So by removing that specific language from your code, it defaults to the referenced section in the code book that is being adopted. Essentially, it's just deferring to that book instead of trying to craft your own edits.
Yeah, I'm going to ask another subsequent question to that. Getting people to serve on boards is tough. Is there, if this, I guess, this governing body wanted to give that jurisdiction to one of our current boards, whether that be the Planning Commission or Zoning Hand Board, would that be allowable, Steve? I guess that would be the question, because I mean, otherwise, you know, we're coming up with finding 3 more people to serve on a board, and it's just tough to get somebody to coach basketball right now. Does that make sense? Is that allowable, or
I'd have to check if there are any specific restrictions on who can sit on the board.
It's extremely rare that someone appeals it, but obviously we'll have to appoint somebody.
We still have to every
exactly
however long what it would be too.
I mean, that's actually the reason why I've always advised against adopting entire codes in their entirety without our board having any decision-making or jurisdiction over things. But I think we've had this conversation in prior years. Commissioner Connolly may remember some of my comments in prior years about adopting entire codes that deviate from what we already currently have in our ordinances. I would have preferred to have not just the red line, but the differences from our current ordinance, you know, just for my own edification this evening. So if it's possible, I would like to, I mean, I know that it's here, but I don't know what's in the
anything that's crossed
IPC.
out was part of, you mean you would like a copy of the IPC?
Yeah, I would like to know some of the provisions, like what we're actually adhering to.
Okay.
So I searched for hours trying to find a red line version between the 21 and the 24, and I cannot find a thing online. I found like generalizations. Basically, they make it more concise. Nothing additional, like meat is added, supposedly. But I searched for hours and hours because I knew the board would be concerned about that. I can keep searching, but I don't think it exists.
You know, with my profession as a dental hygienist, that happens. We have a CDT code book, and that's what happens each year that there's a new update. It's very rare that things are added sometimes, but that the language changes pretty much each edition.
My only concern is sometimes the updates are not necessarily amenable, and sometimes you prefer the prior version. So I would have liked to have known what the differences were, but
the only thing I can say is if there are electronic versions of both, you can send it to the board, and then we would just have to look it up since there isn't anything.
I'm not sure if there are. I think I might actually have to purchase the books and give to you.
That
I
makes
think
sense
there's
too,
copyright.
That's how the CDT code book is too.
So if you want me to purchase the book,
or
borrow.
borrow.
I guess, okay, so my other question is, does the board have the ability, should a discrepancy occur, and it's a valid argument from a resident in the township, if they come to us, do we have the ability to override what's currently in this document?
I'll try to answer this carefully.
Yeah.
It is up to the board to choose how you wish to enforce your ordinances.
Okay. So we can make an exception if we choose to do so.
I don't think you're going to get him to say anything further than what he said.
Back to the prior discussion tonight, you can make an exception. I'm not suggesting that you shall make exceptions.
I'm just thinking about extreme circumstances.
Wouldn't that fall on the Board of Appeals?
Well, if there's a specific decision that has been made or citation that has been issued, I would suggest following the appeal process that is outlined in the code. If it's a pre-enforcement or pre-decision question, if Zach's having conversations or Omar's having conversations with people about an issue, a lot of times there's just conversation that happens before a formal notice of violation is issued or any enforcement action is started. At that point, absolutely fair game for discussion, but I would suggest once a citation is issued or a decision is rendered, let the process as defined by the code play out.
Mr. Golden, just for the edification of the public, can you provide us with information on what is currently done now if someone is in violation? Absent the new Board of Appeals that would have to be created.
Sure. So just for example, a big thing, ticket item right now in the past couple months is grass in excess of 6 inches. So we would first receive a complaint. We're 100% complaint driven. We do not look for any kind of issues because it's just Omar and myself. So we receive a formal complaint, a written complaint that's signed by a person. We do not accept anonymous complaints. We do not give out information though, unless it's subpoenaed by a judge, just to protect the identities of those who complain. Omar then investigates. If he sees that the grass is in fact 6 inches or higher, then he issues a formal, it's a notice of violation, however, there's no fines attached to it. So it gives this person 5 business days to comply with the ruling. So, hey, your grass needs to be under 6 inches within 5 days. However, there's unique circumstances all the time. So people are in and out of the hospitals. You never know. There's all kinds of circumstances. So Omar and myself, we grant extensions as long as the people are letting us know. So as long as they contact us and say, hey, we know that there's a problem and we're going to move forward with cutting it, but can you give us 2 weeks? Can you give us 3 weeks? Depending on the severity of the issue, we grant extensions. So say they do not follow through then, Omar then issues a formal letter, and that gives them another 5 business days. And then if they still do not comply after another inspection, Omar or myself issue a citation to the MDJ, and then the MDJ will hear the case. 99 times out of 100, the MDJ will seek compliance only and not issue fines. And that's what we seek. We don't seek fines unless it is extreme case where we've been out there 50 times on inspections. So that's the process. And then if the MDJ finds them guilty, that person then has the right to appeal to the county court.
So we're replacing the process where we would refer something to the MDJ with a new appeals board?
No, so actually the Board of Appeals, the IPMC Board of Appeals does exist as of today. There's no members on it. Mm-hmm. However, this is just one extra avenue. If they want to avoid going to the MDJ and they say, hey, you guys are 100% wrong, we do let them know, there is that option.
Okay, I wasn't aware that we had that option, actually.
Yep.
So we don't currently have anybody on that Board of Appeals?
No, we need to make some appointments.
Okay.
So basically, regardless of doing this, we still needed to come up with people.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Does anyone have anything further this time?
I just want to, this conversation has come up over the years, and it was always pointed out how rare the use of the board is. And I just want to throw out an example. Paxtang had a zoning hearing board meeting. I believe it was last week.
Yes.
And the solicitor for the zoning hearing board said that that was the first time that zoning hearing board had convened, and I believe he said either 5 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So the things can be rare, and the conversation here when we had talked about this board was the lack of basically involvement the public would have. So we would have to go to somebody and say, would you be interested in serving on a board? And then they're going to say, what do I do? And then we're going to say, when needed, you would do this. And it's not like planning commissioners or zoning hearing board where it comes up very often. But I do think that, maybe the search should begin for people to sit on it. I don't know if there's any timeline or a race, but it was pointed out before that if this option had been selected by somebody, I thought we had a 30-day well, there was something that we talked about how quickly we would have to put the board together.
Yeah,
And
there's
it
guidelines.
didn't- Yeah, it didn't happen, and I want to say if we're using the 21 now, it was probably adopted in 22, so every so many years, it just,
I think it was after that.
22, 20, but I mean, it couldn't have been in 21, is my point.
No, I
So,
think
so
it
I
was
remember this conversation with
23.
something in the teens, like a 15 or an 18, that happened a few years after that, so, you know, the book updates and things happen, and that happens at a much higher level, and then it gets passed down to here. You as a professional have to follow it, and us as the board has to give you a vote so that you have the tools to follow in the most updated version. So, and I do know that there's, you know, you always say, well, what are we changing, and is it better or worse?
Yeah.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, I think, you know, obviously it's about what if we move forward on this, then we can, you can come back as a conversation, or we can define to what we're looking for, and then we can seek people that would be willing to serve on that board.
All right, does anyone have anything else at this time? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and then just, again, for the public, that's just for advertisement at this point.
Correct. We need a motion in a second. I thought that too. I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, well, we'll do it again. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we're up to item 10C.
Yes, thank you. So we have a very rare, I guess, opportunity. There's no plans that are before the Planning Commission right now, which is rare. So we're going to spend the time on October 7th on two different topics. One thing that this board has brought to my attention, our attention, and at the Planning Commission level is discussion of data centers. So we're going to look at the data center maps, you know, where it's permitted. We're going to compare and contrast to other municipalities that have data center ordinances, data center, and where they put their data centers, and just see how we compare. There's been some people that come to our Planning Commission meeting concerned about it. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to bring up buffering. We're going to look at past projects on buffers, specifically related to non-residential projects and those that abut residential districts, to make sure that we have appropriate buffers. And so we invite the public to come and discuss it. We're going to spend the entire time discussing those two topics. So, you know, please come if you could. Commissioner Connolly, do you have additional?
Well, so is there a chance that a plan could come in between now and your agenda time?
If it does, it's going to be other business not considered.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think another interesting situation that's rare but can happen is the fact that we're having this conversation tonight, because normally by the time we come here for our first meeting, the Planning Commission meeting has already happened.
Correct.
So with this being the first of the month, the Planning Commission is before our second meeting, then where it normally falls before the first meeting. But I do think that that's a better plan than canceling the meeting, because
Sure.
we have the Planning Commission together anyway. We've been getting some of these questions. I know members of this board have also asked questions, and I just want to address this to the solicitor. One of the questions that has come up from this board, the public, and in different level meetings was something that had to do with the revenue, the taxing, and I think we had brought up to you, at least Commissioner Zubek had asked for that type of information. Is that something that you could either provide to Zach for a point of discussion on the 7th, or is that something that you would need to do on the 8th, separate from that, or?
We can try to get Zach some general information.
Okay.
It would be hypothetical, but based on estimates and such.
Well, and the reason I'm bringing it up is we've seen in other, just say whether it was Middlesex Township or maybe Londonderry, when there's a proposal, somebody, you know, in the news story, it'll say that the expect, and I'm just talking property tax, because no one knows the unknowns on business privilege and things like that. I think that's what Commissioner Zubek had asked, like what would we expect on something that could potentially go there? Right now, there's nothing going anywhere, but you'll see in the other stories, it'll say that there's a proposed 450 acre data center, and then we'll see that, just say X school district would expect this amount of value, X county, Z municipality, or if it splits, just because that has come up quite a bit. So, I mean, I get it would be an estimate, nobody's held to it, but then you relay the information, because the way those stories, I think we've all seen them, the way those stories are written, it would say that a completed project of that size should generate this much money. Like I think that's all we can ask for at this point, but it's been a frequent question, whether in person, online, and we're new to the process, so maybe we're not as far along as some of those things, but I think that's important to everybody. So even if it was a anticipated valuation, and then we could plug in the tax millage, something like that. I mean, we're not talking real extensive, but general information.
Yeah, and I mean, I would like to ask if I did read a very lengthy list of suggestions last month based on research that I had conducted that I would very much like to share with the Planning Commission for consideration.
Can you please send that to me
Yes.
via PDF, and then I'll forward it to the Planning Commission?
Will do.
Okay.
And just to add, part of that was something that was submitted from a member of the public at the last meeting. You do have that actual paper copy?
Well, my copy was not the same.
No,
as
I know, but I'm saying in addition, we already have like a 3-page
Yeah.
that was submitted to the board, but
Correct.
I know I reviewed mine with you. Did you have your own?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, that's. And I wasn't sure when you read yours if you had provided it to Zach. 'Cause I thought you had said that at some
I
point.
was planning on it. I
Okay.
didn't get to touch base with him, but I will certainly get it to you this week.
Okay. And that's everything I have, Madam President.
All right. Does anyone have anything further? All right. We'll move on to item 11, consideration of resolution, appointment of Julia Yingling as right-to-know officer. Motion.
Second. Which one is it gonna be?
You
Coin
two
flip.
can have it because you both said motion.
I said motion.
I did say second, but that's right. I said second, third, actually.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion at this time? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That'll be resolution R-2025-53.
I'd like to make some changes to 12 once you get there, so I'd make the motion, and I think there needs to be some discussion on the changes that need to be made, if you are okay with me going now or waiting till after.
I'll make the motion.
All right, so if you'll rescind that, because there are some changes that need to be made, because a right-to-know officer is a designation, not actually given what we have in the packet as far as the additional duties. So I think if you will rescind your motion, I'll make the motion that this be a township right-to-know officer, an administrative assistant. I think it's de minimis in nature because we already have the amount in the packet. We're just changing essentially the responsibilities, because again, just designation as the right-to-know officer does not make her a township employee, but we need to add administrative assistant on there. And so I'll make my motion to the point that there is a motion that Julia Yingling becomes the township right-to-know officer and administrative assistant under the cost-sharing agreement, because now she would fall under the cost-sharing agreement, being an employee of the Stormwater Authority and the township. Would that be sufficient, Steve?
That's fine for the agenda. I do just want to mention that the separate authorization document that's included does have that breakdown between stormwater and then the additional.
And we'll come
stipend
back
for the
on
township.
stormwater and approve it. We'll have to approve that next week as cost sharing as well. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna rescind my second on the original, and then second, because you're making this a motion now?
Yes.
And then second, the amended motion.
Fine.
So just for clarification, you're saying as far as the description of duties, ensure it will be right to know as well as administrative assistant?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we would add her into the cost sharing because she's currently a stormwater employee, and then we're bringing her over to the township as an employee, so that would fall under the cost sharing agreement. And then next week, we need to add that to the agenda for the stormwater that we agree with this board's action, just to.
Do we need to engage the third entity? This is more of a question for
If we would go after
Steve.
the third entity to share it, then we would have to.
I know that we've had previous conversations with regard to that where it was posed that you should ask each one because of the joint personnel committee.
If I'm following the conversation correctly, this employee would only be shared between two,
Correct.
not the three. So the third.
Yeah, we had that same discussion before, and you're talking about it would need to go to the joint personnel committee. And I'm saying this just for procedural, because obviously I put it on the agenda. This is something that, we need to do. I just want to make sure that.
If it's just shared between two of the entities and those two are okay with it, there's no need to go to the joint personnel committee.
So that would, then that will apply to all. So that's good.
But if there is a need for the third one, that's something to be addressed.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah.
That just differs from a previous conversation, so that's why I just wanted to clarify that. But do I need to rescind my motion?
Sure which previous conversation you're referring to. I know we've had discussions about a couple different positions shared among 1, 2, or 3 of the entities, so it really does depend on which ones are participating.
That's fine. But again, for a point of clarification, do I need to rescind, because I made the motion, I need to rescind mine as well then. So there you go, I rescind my motion. And we have Commissioner Steele, Vice President Steele, and Commissioner Connolly is the second. Okay, do we have any? Yeah, a lot of rambling.
I thought Shannon made the, Commissioner Steele made
No,
the first
I
one.
made the first motion.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Do we have any further discussion with regard to this at this time? Okay. All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We are up to item 13, retroactive approval of solicitor signing participation agreements regarding the national opioid settlement.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Solicitor Cocorisi, if you could give an explanation for the board and for the public.
Sure. Briefly, you may have heard in the news over the last several years discussion about a settlement with several different companies. Purdue Pharma, one. The Sackler family is a name involved with them, related to opioid addiction and the harm that these drugs cause to communities. It's a national series of several lawsuits, actually, quite a few of them that were all combined, working their way through the court systems over the last several years. There have been at least one other settlement that was approved in the past couple of years. Basically, what I'm asking for you all to do tonight, I have already signed the document because up until Monday, the deadline was actually yesterday to sign on as participating. They told me, I'm not even kidding, within about 20 minutes of me signing that, good news, the deadline was extended until the end of October. In any case, all the township is doing with this is signing onto that settlement. Doesn't mean you're getting any money directly. Really what it means is you're just giving up your right to separately sue these pharmaceutical companies and just agree to accept the settlement that the court imposes on a much bigger scale. The money is distributed between the states and between counties. So the closest it would get directly to Swatara Township is Dauphin County will get a portion of the pot. That portion is subject to change depending on how many municipalities actually sign on. So it is beneficial for the township to participate in this, even though you don't get money directly as part of the settlement. You would be able to, because you're above the population threshold of 10,000 people, you would be able to apply to Dauphin County for grant funding or sponsor other entities who are eligible to apply to the county for grant funding in order to assist with some of the remediation efforts or offsetting the damage from these drugs. So I've already signed the participation form based on that deadline that was yesterday. remains to be seen exactly what the numbers end up looking like and when Swatara would be able to start asking for some of these funds.
Thank you for that explanation. Does anyone have any questions or discussion at this time? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are up to item 14, approval of proposal to engage conflict counsel to represent the township in an appeal before the zoning hearing board. I will,
Motion.
well, I'm going to make the motion because in the packet, which if everyone's okay, so we kind of talked about this, that it says that the individual that would be engaged would be the point of contact, or if there is a conflict, or if the solicitor is unavailable. Are we okay with making that the motion rather than just for the specific instance, or not at this time? It's
I think we should probably stick to what it states.
okay.
But I do want to have the solicitor explain the conflict as I had asked him earlier, so that the public is aware of the idea of the conflict. But I certainly think we should probably stick to whatever is stated on the agenda.
Before he goes, the only thing that I'll add to that is I think that then at a later date that we should engage, just so that we always have.
I do think we should be prepared.
Yeah,
but I do think for the transparency of the public, we should stick to whatever we initially stated.
Just again, so that you'll see this again, basically, is what I'm saying. This will be on a future agenda, and that will be the purpose. So
that's fine.
Okay.
So regarding the concept of conflict counsel generally, there are rules that apply to attorneys that in certain circumstances actually prohibit us from representing a client. For example, I would be prohibited from representing one of my clients, hypothetically Swatara Township, in a matter that is directly adverse to another one of my clients. Those conflicts extend to other attorneys within the firm. So if another attorney in the firm represents somebody, I could not represent Swatara Township in a matter directly adverse to them. This particular issue did not arise because of a true conflict of interest that is actually prohibited by the rules governing attorney conduct. There are also more general, I'll call them business conflicts of interest or personal conflict of interest, where for whatever reason somebody in the firm might say, we would prefer if our name is not attached to something adverse to this client. So that's what it is in this specific case. I'm not prohibited from representing the township, but I have been asked not to based on some other relationships that other members of the firm have with some people involved with this particular matter. I am able to discuss it with the township, so I have been discussing it, but I'm not actually going to be adverse to the other party for this particular case. So conflict counsel would be brought in to serve as your legal counsel, free to represent your interests however you direct them to and however they deem appropriate in that particular matter. Is there more question about that or anything else you'd like from me?
No, thank you for explaining that.
Sure.
All right. Do we have any further discussion? You made the motion? Okay. I'll make the motion, and then we'll do it as it is written on the agenda to represent the township in an appeal before the zoning hearing board.
Second.
Okay. Do we have anything further at this time? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are up to item 15, grant public utility easement for parcels 63-024-080, 63-027-332, and 63-027-047.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Whoever can provide
I think
the
a lot of us can
explanation.
probably talk about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this transcended
multiple
3
years.
different
Yeah.
boards.
Yeah.
Commissioner Connolly was president at one time, Commissioner Zubek, and now President Ellis. I think this was a long time coming, and we finally got to a point with the public utilities where we have an easement agreement. And I appreciate each and every one of you that worked hard. I would say, what is this, 3 or 4 years worth of hard work? So I just wanted to throw that out there. I appreciate you. And just to give a little bit of background, it's essentially an easement that is going to run through, make sure I get this right, the north side of Bishop Park down to the Highland Street, and then the south side, there's a portion that will run through the middle. I do not remember the exact dimensions. Maybe Manager Trafka can help that out, because I know he's been an integral part of that too, and I don't want to leave him out, because we had the last round with some very hard, tough round of negotiations with PP&L, and we finally came through with this. But Manager Trafka, if you want to take it away from there, I know you know the finite details as far as that.
Sure, and unfortunately I don't have the exact footage with me either, but essentially it runs from Highland Street up to approximately about where the Bob Evans used to stand. PP&L already had an existing right-of-way at that location. And then the third location is the down at the compost facility. PP&L has an existing right-of-way through the center of the compost facility. They also have a border property that parallels the township's property, and they're basically purchasing the right-of-way or easement to connect those power lines from their property to the existing PP&L right-of-way.
And they still are releasing the one around the pumping station for this one, right? Was I right on that one?
Yeah, so on the southern portion, south of Highland Street, they have an easement already that basically runs through the middle of that parcel. It needs to be slightly adjusted because right on the northern side of Highland, there's a pumping station for the sewer authority. So their easement, as currently written, runs straight through there. They need to adjust it to go around the pumping station. So that one's really just trading the existing easement for a slight relocation. Then on the northern side, it's continuing around the pumping station, then along the far edge of that property. Once, as I understand it, once PP&L is done with their work in that area, they're then going to extinguish the old easement. So all that will be left is the new footprint.
And I think for the easement, we got to move a fence. 25 feet, was it? Or was it 50?
Now you don't have the mic. Can you ask your question?
That was the question there?
30 feet from the trees.
Yeah, and I'd like to add this solves a couple situations we have. We're developing a park in that area, and this is right on the border of that, so we need to know the boundaries and what's going to happen. There won't be overhead power lines with this. There'll be digging and a line put underground, which should be in the middle of, there was some conversation of whether it was a 30 or 50 foot easement. I think it may vary at some points.
50, that's been
50.
confirmed.
So the middle of that is 25 feet. We have to have some buffer anyway, but at least we can define where we're at. Last thing we want to do is put in dog park, or if we're fortunate to get some help, splash pad, or it's actually right in the area where I think we have the pickleball courts going in. So we want to get this out of the way now. And there was different engineering services. Zach and Kevin were involved. I played a role in it, but I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Steele, because what has happened over time, even though we all had a crack at this, just like anything else, the price has gone up. Mm-hmm. So by not doing this last year, the year before, and the year before, it wasn't done, so that's the bad part. But now that it was done, Commissioner Steele took the lead on the negotiating with PP&L, and was a good negotiator, threw out some numbers. My position in it was to give the fallback number if they didn't take his aggressive number. We weren't really far off, but they took the number he put out, and we should be expecting a $420,000 check in this calendar year. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate the work that everybody did on it, but there was a lot of moving parts, and I think, tonight is kind of the end game of, something really positive for the township. Working with a utility company isn't always easy. Working with the township isn't easy. Add to it that there is a sewer component that may or may not have been in a place that...
It was perfectly fine. PPNL was wrong.
There you go. It may or may not have been in the place that people thought it should have been. So this is something that in local government could have cost money. There could have been fighting and suing and arguing and things like that really delay it longer. But I appreciate the work everybody did, and the township can certainly use $420,000, and we're happy to work with PPNL.
I do want to state for the board's information, this is Exhibit A, why it is very important to record any real estate documents, because it took quite a bit of digging to find PPNL's decades-old easement that helped resolve all of this. So the more that can be recorded and easily retrieved, the easier these things are.
I think it was a handwritten piece of paper.
It was literally on like onion paper.
From something like 1957?
No, it was later. It was earlier.
It was earlier than that?
I thought it was the 30s or the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was an older document that was kind of a big piece of the puzzle. So.
All right, do we have any further discussion at this time? So we had a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're up to 16, approval of the Public Utilities Additional Consideration Agreement.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and this will just formalize that dollar amount.
Yeah, this is just, it specifies how much PPNL is paying for the easements that you just approved.
And again, for the public, that amount is $420,000. Do we have any discussion at this time? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that was too quick. We're up to item 17, appointments to boards and commissions. I do want to announce that there is a vacancy on the Civil Service Commission that has to be filled by next week. Is that correct? Yes. Superintendent Stauffer is shaking his head. So just for everyone, keep that in mind. Next week, we will have to make an appointment to that board. There are rules within a time frame of how long an appointment must be made by. Move on to item 18, visitors' requests and comments. As stated before, if you'd like to make comments, please come forward, state your name and address, as well as write it down, and then you may begin. All right, let's see anybody jumping up. We'll move on to item 19, possible stormwater violations. As always, you can send those in through the website or reach out to any of the commissioners or Manager Trafka. We're at item 20, commissioners requesting comments, additional business, and correspondence. Commissioner Tuckey.
Yes. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of great people from our community recently. Former Commissioner Jim Lang, unfortunately, he passed away recently. There was a ceremony for him just a few days ago. I didn't really know Mr. Lang that much. I wish I did get to know him more than what I was able to, because he was definitely a terrific person. He definitely helped the community and citizens of this township and the state. He served our country in the military. He came back from that. He was a state policeman for over 20 years. And he also, throughout the years, was coaching baseball and basketball. I was grateful that I was able to go to the ceremony, because got to hear a lot of great things from the people attending, his family. He has a great family and a lot of really good friends. It was interesting to hear a lot of them that were there. There was some of the younger kids in the time of coaching. He coached throughout the years, and they just had a lot of great things to say about him, along with many other people in the community. And he also was a former township commissioner. And there again, he did it to try to help the people in our community. And unfortunately, as stated early in the meeting tonight, we did lose MJ she helped a lot in the codes department with many different tasks. She was just a great person. She did a lot of good for our township, and she was always pleasant when you were able to take some time to talk to her. And she's definitely going to be missed. I know the staff, a lot of the staff members miss her. And I know definitely everyone on the board does too. And I just praying for both Mr. Lang and MJ's families, because I know there's a lot of grieving right now. Comments were made tonight. Randy Conway. I have a lot of respect for Randy because he did take his time to go and look at the other fire company and see what they're possibly doing that we may or may not be doing, to try to get some suggestions, to try to help, maybe give some information to help. And I think that's what a lot of people in our community are trying to do. That's why there's so many people at our meetings every month showing up, taking their own time, 2, 3, 4 hours, 3, 4 hours or more, some meetings. They're concerned and they do care about their community. And I appreciate everyone that takes the time to come out and give suggestions and try to make things better. So thank you for that, Randy. And I was there that night after the fire board meeting, and I just wish people would just take more time to try to actually listen to each other rather than basically attack. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I hope you have a great evening. Take care.
Thank you. Commissioner Zubek?
Yes, I want to echo the comments of Commissioner Tuckey by providing my deepest condolences to both former Commissioner Jim Lang's family and our very valuable friend, staff member here at the township, MJ Snyder. I'm going to start with MJ. She was, I really enjoyed all of my conversations with her. She was always very kind and, personable, always happy to talk with you and, very thoughtful. And I just want to, and she was a really hard worker. As some of us mentioned earlier, she really excelled at her job. She loved her job. She was very, precise in the things that she did, and wanted to do the best job possible for our township. And I really valued not just her as an employee, but her as a person, and a value to our community as well. And I also want to talk a little bit about former Commissioner Lang, whom I've had the opportunity to know for a long time. I know my first run-in with him was probably, might have been 18, 19 years old, brand new on the Swatara Township Republican Committee. And, Mr. Lang was also a commissioner at the time and a member of that committee. And, he was again, very caring and really dedicated to our community. And to say that he was a lifelong public servant who really, valued public service is an understatement, both from his, career in the military, as a state police officer, as a township commissioner. No matter what he did, he really put all of his heart and soul into his many things that he did to help people. And it's not an easy job. We all know we value our police department, and that job is, it takes a toll on you, and he never ever stopped caring and dedicating his time. And that just goes to show to his character. And so I just want to, say that, he wasn't just a good citizen, but he was a good friend and dedicated servant in our community. And we really will truly miss both of them very much. And my thoughts and prayers go out to their families, their friends. And I know that, all of the I think I can speak for all the commissioners on this board when I say that they will truly be missed by all of us. And so moving on to just a couple more points. I would like us, and this might be something for Chief Stauffer, I would like us to consider possibly looking at some signage in various areas of the township where there's a higher pedestrian utilization that do not have sidewalks. And the one area that I am thinking of specifically is one that I've raised concerns about in the past, where at the end of Chambers Hill, near the doctor's office, where we have a gentleman who walks that road a lot, at all hours of the day and night. I'm clearly concerned for his safety. I understand that maybe it's for his health that he has to walk that area. It's something that he needs to do. But if there's something we can do to provide additional signage to just let people know, especially people from out of the area. We live there, so we all know that there's a possibility. But I just want people to be more cognizant of pedestrians walking, especially in that area, and other areas where there may be, more of a higher traffic that don't have sidewalks. But that one specifically, because even tonight or this evening on my way here, that gentleman was right on the curve as you're going by. A car can't see. And I go the speed limit. Obviously, I'm always watching. I know what to expect, but I'm really concerned that someone from outside the area, I don't want something bad to happen. So if that's something that we can look into, consider maybe additional signage, a pedestrian sign, even maybe the sign shop can make something. I think it would really go a long way to help keep our community members safe. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is, actually, I'll just leave it there. I hope everybody has a nice evening. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly?
Yeah, I have a few things. I'll start with this one. At the Fire Service Board meeting, I was proud to congratulate two Swatara Fire Rescue firefighters. I see we have one in the room tonight, Dakota Schultz and Dave Garber, for being in the first group of full-time firefighters in a neighboring municipality, Lower Paxton. A lot of times you'd think you wouldn't congratulate somebody for kind of going to another team, but you couldn't have two better guys, and I think they're always going to be around Swatara Township, so congratulations, Dakota. I didn't get the chance to say it at one of these meetings, but great job. You're welcome. And Kevin, if you remember, it was Russ that has this. What you said tonight, and you're in contact with him on Dairy Street, could you update him on that? Because he called in here to the township, and then he got my number, and I talked to him, and we talked about what you had said tonight, hoping that there would be enough time to smooth out some of the ruts before we lost pedestrians, bikes, cars. So I have hope that will be smoothed out and covered up. And if they go curb to curb, I am going to be extremely. I mean, that's
We'll
just
see.
yeah. But I mean, if they just fix and bring that up to the surface level, and I feel that if it's a little high and and it's settling, it's better than leaving it a little low where it's going to settle and be a problem. But he is very, very early in that process. He was reaching out about the concern, and everything he said was right. My comeback was that it was still ongoing. So you gave us a date that hopefully they'll wrap it up. The weather's been good, and they'll still be able to get the materials they need to fix that. But appreciate you reaching out to him. Also at the Fire Service Board meeting, one of the statistics that really stood out was that the response time year to date is about 5 minutes now. So our guys are really getting out. There was times years ago that we were shooting for 8 minutes as a goal, and there's more and more calls. So the response time is incredible. A lot of people doing a lot of really good things there. On the loss of MJ, she was Zach's assistant. I know he feels it. There were some health issues, and everyone was hoping that obviously she would return. It didn't happen. The information came in on the weekend, very, very unexpected. That the way it came in, we tried to get the information out to everybody, so they wouldn't get it from different sources or there was any confusion. So I appreciate the fact that Zach is available, different times. He had reached out to me. I didn't know exactly what the issue was. I saw the missed call. I called him back. He was at T-ball, and he answered the phone. And I said, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. And he said, I'm at my son's T-ball game. And I was, it was kind of emotional for both of us to have the conversation, but then I felt terrible calling him back while he was on his family time. But MJ was just a great person to talk to. She had experiences in county government. She knew about the history of the area, restaurants. If you gave her a name, she could connect that to someone in that family. And she was a wealth of knowledge on a lot of subjects, and she'll really be missed. She helped me with a lot of things, and I owe her a great deal of gratitude. Jim Lang, I don't know if we said a lot of good things that were said. I'm not going to repeat that, but to be clear about his service, he was at the time of his passing, I believe, still a member of our Police Civil Service Commission. So that is what you heard tonight about us, trying to fill the spot that he had. Appreciate everything he did. I was involved in some of the sports programs that he was involved in after him, and the families that talked about the great things that he did, and then knowing and seeing him before I was coaching or running an association. A lot of praise for somebody to have that much time for the community from a young age. Basically, until the end of his life, he was still serving here in Swatara Township. So my condolences to friends and family of both MJ Snyder and Jim Lang. I want to point out today was National Coffee with a Cop Day. Until about a month ago, didn't know there was such a day. But the Turkey Hill on Paxton Street sure knew it, and the McDonald's knew it. They reached out to Superintendent Stauffer, and ironically, both wanted to have a coffee with a cop on the same day. And they're next to one another. So it made life easier for our officers to go out and meet and greet the public. But it got even more interesting when the Target said they would like to have the coffee with the cop. So for those of you that made it this morning, there were 3 Coffee with a Cop events, incredible community outreach. I left the target before that one ended, but the first two had asked to continue doing what we did today, and not just on a yearly day of National Coffee with a Cop Day, but on a regular basis. So it was very well received, and I saw different people at the different events. They all kind of took a different tone. It was more of a meet and greet, and people had some curiosity as to what was going on. But I will say this one was truly back to coffee with a cop. We rotate it to restaurants, and that's great, getting out in the community. But appreciate Superintendent Stauffer, Lieutenant Chateau, Lieutenant Kraling was there. Corporal Pocrop handles, a lot of the community events. So to see that 3 things went off, 8, 9, and 11, and it was successful, and people really had a good time. Appreciate what you do. And on Sunday, Sergeant Ashley Blue and Lieutenant Kraling spent the day at Harrisburg Area Community College doing an outreach. We had materials for both firefighters and police employment opportunities. And then we had some novelty giveaways. Our police officers looked awesome in their uniforms. They were up there with 3 other police departments, and ours went dressed for success, put it that way. They really looked great, and they did a great job meeting people all day long. Literally thousands of people had gone past the Swatara Township booth before that event was over. So appreciate that police and fire is 24 hours with emergency response, but it's also evenings and weekends with the community outreach. So we did a great job there. I will add that something that came out of the Fire Service Board meeting was that we're going to track not only the number of events that we do with community outreach, with recruiting. The event, apparently I didn't say it, the event was a Mila, which is a celebration of culture, dance, arts, athletics, music, mainly within the Nepali community. So that's what the event was, and they had a very, very large turnout there. But back to, we're going to track the number of events, which already happens, but we're going to then have an estimate of the number of people that we're reaching, and I talked to Superintendent Stauffer, and we're going to do that for the police department too, because I think that's an important statistic. We get a lot of suggestions that we should go to events, or we should talk to people, or maybe we should go to schools or different things. And this way we can put the numbers on the outreach that we're doing. Not to say that any suggestion is wrong and that we can't do more, but at least we can kind of look at where we're at and how many people we're getting the message to for public safety overall. And then the last thing I want to say is, locally, we saw that township on the West Shore was in the news about a data center situation. And they had a meeting where it was on their agenda, and they have a 5-member board. And if you look at the map that was their zoning map, in an area of their township which was centrally located, they were voting to add that area for data center usage. And the public came out and was not for that. I don't know that anybody spoke for it. I only saw the news clips. But what ended up happening is they voted not to move forward on that. And when I saw their map on the news, and I think probably everybody saw that map, if you looked at their map, on the lower sides of their map, they had places that were already zoned for data centers. When I saw that map, I compared it to our map, and I think this will be part of Zach's discussion next week. Very similar. They had areas where data centers were already allowed to go, and that's relatively new. Everyone was kind of racing against time so that they didn't end up getting, whether it was a deemed approval or just go into places because you didn't have the right zoning. But I thought it was interesting that we've heard from people that said maybe we should move the data centers into additional areas or zones. And at this point, I'm perfectly satisfied with the areas that we had. But interestingly enough, we had an example of another municipality, similar size population, similar size square miles, and when they voted 5-0, they voted basically to do what we did, to leave the data centers in the lower part of their zoning map. And I think, Zach, maybe if that comes up as a discussion, maybe you'd be prepared to show both of the maps exactly how similar they are. So someone had said to me that Hampton voted against data centers, and when you research it, they voted against an additional area. From this board, I'm very happy that we were able to pass the areas that we passed, put in protections for the residents, and still comply with the law. So there'll be more on that subject with the Planning Commission, and then we'll get a presentation here next week. And that's all I have. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Vice President Steele.
Yes, thank you, each and every one of you that came out and joined us for the evening in person, and every single one of you that joined online. I'm gonna start off by giving my condolences to MJ Snyder's family. Those of you that knew MJ around this building, she is a living legend. There will never be another MJ ever. There will never be a person you will ever come across that was unique like her. As a newly elected commissioner and very brand new to government, out back here was her break spot, her smoke spot. And you could have the conversations, great conversations with her about life. But there are a few things that really touch me about her. As any elected official, especially when you're new, you go through frustrations. And to be around MJ and get counseling on the way government works, like Commissioner Conley said, her wealth of knowledge that she had of the running of government and how to do things, and the people that she knew was beyond your imagination. You could talk to her about almost any subject imaginable, and she was an easy person to talk to. She will sorely be missed. She had her little things that I'll remember, as far as making her toast and walking through the hallway with 2 pieces of toast every morning in her coffee, her warm Pepsi that sits on her desk. You never have ice. It's a warm Pepsi. Her cans of soup that sit on her desk. As hot as it is in here right now, MJ would have a jacket on, and it'd be 90 degrees. It's just the little things. And I think the best, and I won't say some of the things she said, but MJ was one. If you walked in the office and you paid attention to the things that she said underneath her breath, oh my God, was she hilarious. So I think everyone in this building that has ever been touched by her will remember her in their own little special way. So I just wanted to share some of my stories. I spent a lot of time with MJ over the last year and a half, and she's like a grandmother to another grandmom that I had. I will give her that. She's a sweet soul. As far as Mr. Lang, I've known Mr. Lang since Tri-Community Bowls. Coach, friend of the family, Steve, Mike, went to school with him from Tri-Community to Swatara to East High. Jim has always been involved in his community in one way, shape, or another, whether that would be with sports, municipal government, or just seeing him by riding down Main Street by his house and having a conversation with him. Jim was a great guy, and I'll leave it at that. There is a lot of a lot of memories that I'll share with Mr. Lang, especially growing up as a kid. And he was one. He had a lot of kids because Jim didn't mince any words with you when you were younger to tell you and put you in your place. And that's one thing I can remember about him. But he was a great guy. And I think his legacy as well will live on just like MJ's. I want to touch a little bit, and I'm going to use the gentleman that's in the crowd because I've known this kid, Dakota, since he was a snotty-nosed kid riding a school bus to Tri-Community. And he is an example of what we have to offer in Swatara Fire and Rescue from start to finish, from a junior to a senior firefighter to a officer, now to a paid fireman. The guy has spent countless hours perfecting his craft. He has spent countless hours missing events. There were times where he wouldn't leave the firehouse and do other things because he was more worried about what call he was going to miss. And I say all that because Swatara Fire and Rescue has 20 more Dakotas running around here right now. So my comments at the fire board meeting last week were for them, for those of you that want to get online and bash them. I'm okay with you bashing me. I'm part of the leadership here. I'm okay with that. Come at me, but don't come at them. And there is enough spread between Facebook and public for people that put their lives on hold to protect other people's life and property, and for them to be attacked online consistently, whether indirectly or directly, and you think you're not attacking them, as they told you last week, you are attacking them. You were a coward last week, and you're a coward this week. Don't ever think for 1 minute that I didn't knock on doors across this township. And anyone that genuinely knows me knows that I speak what's on my mind. So to think that because I'm an elected official, that will change, that's what people like about me, and that's what some people don't like about me, but I'm as real as you'll ever get. And you don't have to come to a podium to say some words that I said, because I'm, like I told you the other night, I'm a grown man. I'll speak it right to your face. You're not going to hear any whispers about me. And to attack volunteers consistently how you have done, it doesn't change the fact that you went to another fire department to see another fire department. If you want the example on how to maintain volunteers, Dakota Schultz and the other 15, 20 people I'm telling you about, go down that station. They have consistently maintained and recruited volunteers and consistently had bunks filled for the last 13 years. You didn't have to leave the township to try to figure it out. That station right down the street will show you. Get an application like they told you that night. Don't leave everything out and only put pieces in there. Tell the whole story. Get an application. They felt like they were attacked, and they told you to your face that you were attacked. And yes, I did call you a coward, and I'll say it again. You are a coward for attacking volunteers. That as when you go home tonight and you sit in your house and you write a Facebook post, you know what they're going to be doing? Preparing, ready to respond to the call. You know what they're going to be doing? At the station training. They're going to put their life on hold when they're watching a video or a movie with their wife tonight and eating popcorn. But they're going to put all that on hold to respond to the fire call because you dialed 911. They're not the cowards. They're the heroes. Always remember that. And that's all I have for tonight. I appreciate every one of you coming out, and thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you. I want to start with offering my condolences to Mr. Lang and his family, as well as to Mary Jane, MJ Snyder's family, friends, and to township staff that had the pleasure of working with her. She was a very sweet woman, and she will be missed tremendously. Everyone shared lots of information, so I won't go too further into that. I will say too, congratulations to you, Dakota, on your new employment. Dakota was a township staff, worked in our public works department, so he's someone that we lost, but everyone is very proud of what you're doing. And I just want to thank everyone that came out last month to the police fundraiser, the chicken barbecue that was held to support the Canine Fund. And I'm going to announce, I'll say this again next week, that on October 30th, the township will be holding a Halloween walkthrough event from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Venata Park. If you're interested in being, this is, I'm reading from information that was sent out from Corporal Procop. So, yeah, is that what I said?
We'll check it.
You're talking about the time.
I'm just saying, I saw something else on one, something we.
The time. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
It said 6 to 8:30 on the walkthrough.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read what I have in front of me. And if it needs to be corrected, I said I'm going to say it again next week. So, if anyone is interested in being a vendor, you'll need to reach out to Corporal Pocrop and you can sign up. There's no cost to be a vendor. We ask that you provide your own candy, and it's a event that's continued to grow since its inception, which I'm very proud to have been part of the first one, and I believe this is the 4th year, something like that. But it's a fun event. It's at Venata Park. It's similar to what Hershey Park does with their, I believe it's called Treatsville, where you'll just meander through the park, and every table you stop at, they'll give your kids some treats. So if you can attend, bring your kids, dress up, it's a fun time. So that's all I have for tonight. I want to thank everyone that took the time to come out here to be with us, and thank you to everyone that takes the time to watch these meetings. And I will go ahead and entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 9:27 p.m.